Hello students, myself Prakash Chandra Paricha, head of the Department of Zoology, Ramadevi Women's University. Today we will know about the different bath control methods. So let us start. As we discussed in the last class, birth control is an integral component of reproductive health. Reproductive health takes into consideration the availability to people or access of people to safe, reliable and effective methods of birth control. Birth control means, or it refers to, so this is what we mean by birth control. It refers to restricting the number of children by using methods to control fertility and prevent conception. A number of different methods are available for birth control. The different methods each has its own advantage and disadvantages. We will discuss the different birth control methods one by one, starting with sterilization. Sterilization means making one incapable of reproduction. There are basically two methods of sterilization. One is surgical and the other is non-surgical. The surgical method is available both for male and female, that is for men and women. The surgical method used for men is known as vasectomy. And for female, the surgical sterilization method used is known as tubectomy. So preferably vasectomy is used in case of males or in case of men for sterilization. In vasectomy, the sperm carrying duct is cut. Uh, you can see here in the diagram, this is the scrotum or the pouch where the testis is housed. The male gonad testis is housed. Behind the testis there is the epididymis. Sperms are produced in this testis and they are stored in the epididymis. Then they are carried to the urethra by this duct. This is the duct. You can see here its course. It starts from the epididymis, from the lower end of the epididymis, then it goes upwards and finally it carries the sperm to the exterior through the urethra. This is the penis and here there is the opening, the external orifice of urethra. So the sperms they are carried like this to the outside of the male body. This is the vas deferens, also known as ductus deferens. This is the sperm carrying duct. In vasectomy, this tube is cut. So in this procedure, what is done? The sperm carrying duct is cut, that vas deferens. Two incisions are made on either side of the scrotum to access the sperm carrying duct. Incision can be made with the help of scalpel or without incision. It can be, the sperm duct can be accessed through puncture with the help of special forceps. So once it is located, the sperm carrying duct is located, it is cut. You can see here in this diagram, now the sperm carrying duct has been cut. The cut ends are tied so that the sperms can no longer come to the outside of the male body. So here, although the sperm carrying ducts are cut, sperm production continues as before. The sperms they are destroyed within the body by phagocytosis. If the process is done properly, it is 100% effective. The process of vasectomy can be reversed, but the chances of regaining fertility is as low as 30 to 40%. Then the second process that is observed in male, in female, the surgical sterilization procedure in case of female is tubectomy. Tubectomy, otherwise known as tubal ligation. So you can see here, this is the uterus, this is vagina, and these are the two ovaries, the female gonads, and these two are the ducts which carry the eggs which is released from the ovary to the uterus. So here in this process what is done, this uterine tube, otherwise known as fallopian tube, it is caught in the middle. It is tied at two places and caught in the middle, or some clamps or clips are placed on this tube, so that this passage is blocked or this uterine tube is disrupted. You can see here, previously the tube was intact. It was intact for carrying the eggs from the ovary. During this tubectomy, this uterine tube or the fallopian tube is caught in the middle and tied at both ends, or clamps are fixed on the fallopian tube, so that the eggs cannot move through the uterine tube, so that the eggs cannot meet the sperms and there will be no fertilization or no conception. In females also this sterilization process is reversible, but the chances of getting back fertility is even lower than that of the vasectomy. So these are the two processes, surgical sterilization processes used in case of male and female. Then there is also non-surgical sterilization process available. That non-surgical or non-incision sterilization process is used in case of females, and that is known as, that process is known as hysteroscopic sterilization. In this process what is done, a small coil which is made of polyester fiber and metal like say nickel or titanium and stainless steel. So such a micro insert, it is a small coil like structure. It is placed in the uterine tube. Through vagina and uterus, with the help of a catheter, it is placed in this uterine tube. When this is placed in the uterine tube, over a period of 3 months time, there will be formation of scar tissue around this coil. When scar tissue develops around the coil which is placed in the uterine tube, the uterine tube gets blocked, so that eggs released from the ovary can no longer pass through the uterine tube. This process is irreversible. So these were the different methods of sterilization. Next we have hormonal methods. In hormonal methods, hormones are used, progesterone and estrogen, or they are synthetic versions. So these hormones are used in this hormonal method for birth control. These hormones can be taken in the form of pills. When it is taken in the form of pills, they are known as oral contraceptive pills, hormonal oral contraceptive pills. There are three versions of these oral contraceptive pills. One is combined oral contraceptive pills. The short form is COC. COC means combined oral contraceptive pill. It is called combined oral contraceptive pill because it contains the hormone. The pill contains hormone progesterone and estrogen. These two hormones they inhibit FSH and LH. FSH stands for follicle stimulating hormone and LH stands for luteinizing hormone. These two hormones are released from the anterior pituitary gland and they act on these two hormones, they act on the ovary. Follicle stimulating hormone stimulates the growth of ovarian follicles in the ovary. Luteinizing hormone is required for ovulation. So the combined oral contraceptives they contain progesterone and estrogen. They inhibit FSH and LH. When these two action of these two hormones is inhibited, the development of ovarian follicles in the ovary will not occur. Also, there will be no mid-cycle surge of luteinizing hormone, so that there will be no ovulation. There will be no release of egg from the ovary. Even if there is ovulation, these pills prevent implantation, attachment of the fertilized egg to the wall of the uterus. Implantation is prevented. Also, these hormones which are they will make the cervical mucus thick, so that it will affect the motility of the sperms. So this is how the a combined oral contraceptives work? We have in India these combined oral contraceptives available under the brand name Mala D and Mala N. These pills are required to be taken. These pills are required to be taken once daily for 3 weeks. Then in the 4th week, no tablet is required, and it will allow menstruation. Then again, from next week, it is started. Then mini pill. Mini pill contains only progesterone. In India, we have a mini pill under the brand name Saheli. This Saheli has been designed by Central Drug Research Institute of India, CDRI. CDRI stands for Central Drug Research Institute. It is located at Lucknow. This Saheli is a mini pill. It is a non-steroid oral contraceptive. It contains a chemical called centroman. It is a non-steroid pill or oral contraceptive. It is free from side effects like say vomiting, nausea and weight gain. This pill for first 3 months is taken twice a week. Then after that it needs to be taken only once a week. Then the third type of oral contraceptive pill is emergency contraceptive pill, EC. This is also known as the morning after contraceptive pill. This pill is used in emergency situation. Following an unprotected sexual intercourse, this pill can be used to prevent conception. This pill is to be taken within 72 hours of having unprotected sexual intercourse. This pill is very effective when taken within 24 hours of having unprotected sex. Then the next dose is to be taken 12 hours after the first dose. These emergency contraceptive pills they contain high levels of progesterone and estrogen, and they work like the other oral contraceptive pills. These emergency contraceptive pills they are helpful when in emergency situation. For example, if during sexual intercourse condom is used, and if that condom ruptures, then there will be release of sperms in the female genital tract and there is chance of conception. To avoid conception, these pills can be used. These pills can be used by rape victims. These pills are very effective measures of birth control, but these pills have certain side effects, like it may cause vomiting, it may cause nausea, or it may lead to weight gain in women. These pills cannot be used by women. These pills are meant for women, so these pills cannot be used by women who have liver malfunction or who have cerebral blood vessel damage, or who suffer from heart disease or from migraine headache. Those having a history of blood clotting disorder, these people cannot use these oral contraceptives. Then hormonal methods used, which are non-oral. Hormones used, but they are not used in the form of oral contraceptive pills. They can be in the form of hormonal stickers. These are hormonal stickers. They are small plastic sheets. They can be placed on the skin of arm, buttock, or on the belly. These hormonal stickers, they contain the hormones progesterone and estrogen. These are applied on the skin of the female for 3 weeks. Every week the sticker need to be changed, and the place where it is applied should also be changed every week. Then in 4th week it is not required. Then hormonal implant. The hormonal implants are in the form of capsules, soft polymer capsules containing these hormones progesterone and estrogen. By a small surgical method, they are placed below the skin. Below the skin of the upper arm. When placed, these implants, they continuously release the hormones, and when they are implanted, they can be effective for several years. Small hormone containing capsules of the size of matchstick, they are implanted under the skin of the arm region. Then we have hormonal injection. Hormonal injection, it contains progesterone, and it is administered intramuscularly to the woman in the form of injection. Every 3 months, one injection shot is given. Then hormonal vaginal ring. Hormonal vaginal ring is a small flexible ring which contains the 2 hormones. It is placed in the vagina. You can see here the diagram. The woman can place it in the vagina. It is a small flexible ring like this, and it contains the hormones, and when placed it will release the hormones within the vagina. The woman places it in her vagina for 3 weeks, then on the 4th week it is removed. Again, after a week it can be placed in the vagina. So these were the different hormonal methods available for birth control. Then intrauterine device. Intrauterine devices, these are small structures or small objects made of plastic, copper or steel. These are placed in the uterus. A professional health worker or a doctor can place it in the uterus of the woman. Often it is in the form of English letter T. This is how one intrauterine device looks. You can see here it is shaped like English letter T. It is either made of plastic or copper or of stainless steel. It is placed in the uterus like this. There are 3 versions of this intrauterine device. One is non-medicated. The other one is copper releasing, and the third one is hormone releasing. The intrauterine device, which is made of copper and in the shape of English letter T, is popularly known as copper T. These devices, when placed in the uterus, they induce irritation. They induce irritation in the uterus. There will be inflammation, and the sperms which enter the uterus, they become subjected to phagocytosis. Because of inflammation, irritation and inflammation, there will be migration of phagocytic cells to the uterus, and those phagocytic cells will destroy the sperms which enter the uterus. So this will prevent conception. The copper releasing intrauterine device releases copper. Copper affects sperm motility. It also suppresses the fertility of the sperm. The hormone releasing devices, they also suppress the fertility of the sperms. The problem with intrauterine device is that it may cause discomfort to the woman in whose body it has been placed. It may cause bleeding. Also, it may puncture the wall of the uterus. This intrauterine device, when properly placed in the uterus, it may work for a very long period. It may remain effective for a period as long as 10 years. But without the knowledge of the woman, it may come out of the genital tract. Then another method of birth control is use of spermicide. Spermicides are sperm killing agents. Spermicides are available in the form of foam tablets, gels or creams. Before sexual intercourse, this spermicide is put in the vagina. These spermicides, they contain chemicals like say boric acid, lactic acid, then zinc phosphate, then potassium permanganate. These are found in the spermicide. The spermicides, they kill the sperms by rupturing the plasma membrane of the sperms. Then we have a barrier method. A barrier method uses physical barrier. It uses physical barrier to prevent a union of the sperm and the ovum. So these are used as barrier methods. Condom, that is male condom, then female condom, diaphragm and cervical cap. This condom is a balloon-like structure made of latex. So this is how it looks, the male condom. It is made of latex. This end is narrow and it is closed, and this is the open end where a flexible ring is present. The male puts it over his erect penis before sexual intercourse. When the condom is present during sexual intercourse, the sperms are not released in the genital tract of the female. They are retained here, so that there will be no conception. Then female condom. This one is used by males. Similarly, females have also condom for their use. That is slightly different in look. This is how a female condom looks. It is also made of latex. Here it has two rings, two flexible rings are present. It is tube like, one end is closed and the other end is open. Before sexual intercourse, the female inserts this female condom into her vagina, so that this part, the closed end, it fits over the cervix. You can see here how it is fitted. This is the closed end. The closed end with flexible ring, it fits over the cervix, so that the opening into the uterus is closed, and this is the open end. This tube-like structure extends out, and you can see here this is the vagina. Through the vagina, vaginal opening, it comes out, and this opening is covering the external genitalia of the female, so that when this female condom is placed, the sperm are not released in the genital tract of the female. The sperms are released into this female condom. Female condom is also known by the name femidom. Then the third barrier used is a diaphragm. This diaphragm is a dome-shaped structure made of rubber. It is like this. You can see here. It has a ring here, a flexible ring here. It is made of rubber, and you can see here it has a dome-shaped part. Before sexual intercourse, the female partner puts it over her cervix. You can see here how it is placed. This is the cervix. You can see here this diaphragm is placed like this. When a diaphragm is placed like this, sperm entry into the uterus is prevented. So there will be no conception. It is very reliable when it is used along with spermicide. The cervical cap is also made of rubber and similar to this one, a diaphragm, but it is smaller in size. Compared to diaphragm, it is smaller in size. It also fits over the cervix. Being smaller in size, it fits over the cervix more tightly. The advantage of using these two condom, male condom and female condom, is that it provides protection against sexual transmitted diseases. But the negative side of using the condom is that it comes in the way of natural love making. And finally, we have the natural method of birth control. One of the natural methods of birth control is abstinence, or rather periodic abstinence. In this method, coitus is avoided. During the period from 10th to the 17th day, starting from 10th day up to the 17th day of the menstrual cycle, coitus is avoided. The male and female partner will not have sexual contact. That is called periodic abstinence. This periodic abstinence is based on the fact that ovulation occurs around the 14th day. So ovulation occurs around 14th day. The sperm has a lifespan of about 3 days in the genital tract of female, and the egg released that has a lifespan of 2 days. So you can see here, usually ovulation occurs on the 14th day of the cycle. The sperm can survive in the genital tract of female for about 3 days, and the released egg, it can survive for 2 days only. So basing on these facts, this period has been chosen during which coitus is to be avoided, so that the chances of conception is reduced. This periodic abstinence is not very reliable, more so in case of women where the menstrual cycle is not regular. Then another natural method is the symptothermal method. It based on the understanding of the physiology of female body. At the time of ovulation, the body temperature of the female, the basal body temperature of the female rises. Also, there will be release of thin, clear, stretchy cervical mucus in abundant quantity. So these are the symptoms of ovulation. So during the period when these symptoms are there, and 3 days up to a period of 3 days after this symptom, coitus is to be avoided, so that chances of conception is reduced. Then withdrawal method. Another natural method is withdrawal method. Also known as coitus interruptus. In this method, the male partner before ejaculation, removes his penis from the genital tract of the female, so that there will be no release of sperms in the genital tract of the female. The sperms are released outside the female body. This process requires a lot of self-discipline on the part of the male partner. Also, there is a problem with this method is that even before ejaculation, there might be leakage of sperms into the genital tract. Then finally, we have lactational amenorrhea, another natural method. Following childbirth, there is a period of 5 to 6 months when there is intense lactation. During intense lactation, when the baby is sucking milk from the breast of the mother, there will be no ovulation. So this period of 5 to 6 months just after the birth of the baby, during this period during which there is no ovulation, if there is coitus, there will be no conception. So these were the various methods of birth control available to both male and female. So this much for today. Thank you.